*515# to subscribe. The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello and thank you for joining us for TV1 News. I'm Jemima Sukbat.
I'm Terry Longwood. Coming up later on in sports, the Hunters Old Boys make an impression on coach Paul Ayton at training.
In this edition, Philippine rice investors arrive in PNG, Lay City opens a new road, and Hunters Old Boys mentor young players. A police officer in Madang who was driving to Madang town from Bramu arrived in the nick of time to save grieving and injured women who were involved in a car accident at Tapo. The police officer reported that the women were traveling back to Simbu province with bags of betel nut to sell. According to some of the women, they went to Madang to buy betel nut to sell for school fees. The named police officer added that the vehicle they were traveling in encountered a mechanical fault while it was climbing up the incline at Tapo. The vehicle suddenly went off the road and toppled over its side in the bushes. The policeman said when he arrived, the driver tried to escape but he stopped and told to help the injured to safety while the ambulance was being called. All the injured were taken to Modilon Hospital in Madang. Solicitor General Tauvasa Tanuvasa has advised public servants to effectively communicate with timely instructions to state lawyers if they wish to be represented in court. He echoed this when presenting to senior police officers the role of the Office of the Solicitor General. State lawyers are required to defend any claim that is served against the state. Solicitor General Tauvasa Tanuvasa has advised public servants to effectively communicate with timely instructions to state lawyers if they wish to be represented in court. The requirements for state defense include Section 5 notice, letter from the Solicitor General, minute from superiors, and service of court documents. The state will screen for genuine claims. Claims that are unnecessary will be refused. Mr. Tanuvasa said that in the event that public servants are accused with an allegation, it is advisable that they accept the documents and respond by contacting the Office of the Solicitor General. Write and respond to the documents served and forward to the Office of the Solicitor General. It is important that you give instructions, adding that lawyers only act on instructions from clients. State has only 90 days to file defense. State departments, including police, are obliged to instruct lawyers through the Attorney General. A public servant or police officer implicated in a human rights allegation must give instructions to the Solicitor General. So what happens if there is no instructions given by the client? Clients will not be defended. Default judgment entered against the state. The police officer or public servant implicated will be left to defend himself and may be liable to pay judgment debt.
A dedication service was held for Eastern Highlands teachers at the YC Hall in Goroka on Monday. It was themed Provide Quality Education by Creating Positive School Culture with God. Education advisor for Eastern Highlands Province, Albert Wesley, who was part of the event, urged teachers to shape up and be committed in teaching in this year's academic year. Wesley stressed that education is the foundation of prosperity and survival. He acknowledged the partnership of churches and the government in ensuring consistency and stability in the education sector and a conducive learning environment for students.
So we expect them, the teachers, to be committed in the profession. And unfortunately, we continue to see teachers who are scoring duty, who lead workers, who are on pay, doing nothing, who stick off into what must be. So education division is trying its very best to make sure that teachers must be committed.
Overseas training bids for all public servants for 2024 Australian government scholarships and information on the United Kingdom, Commonwealth and Chevening scholarships are now open. The Australian Awards scholarships application date opens on February 1st and closes on May 1st. Interested applicants can visit the website early August and September to prepare well for the 2024 and 2025 application process, which will close in November. Secretary Tai San said all training bids for public servants will go through the DPM for analysis and consideration. But Philemon Drive, formerly known as Mangola Street, was officially opened today by Morobe Governor Luther Wenge and lay MP John Rosso. The 4-meter concrete road valued at 10 million kina took 2 months to complete.
Lay City has yet again opened another newly upgraded concrete road. This time it was at the Bad Philemon Drive, which was formerly known as Mangola Street, the road link between Top Town and Main Market. The 4-lane road is 4 meters long and cost Lay City 10 million kina. When commending contractor PNG Investment, Morobe Governor Songang Luther Wenge said he introduced the idea of cement roads back in 2003 amidst much skepticism. In 2011, Wenge commissioned the first concrete road in Lay City, which was the Huon Road.
Now we fight one time government of 12 years. In an employment fight, we fight one time government. Big black government. We fight for 12 years. All by giving cement. Now somebody government, a big black government will give him 100 million. No, start him concrete road. Now you will put him concrete road. Now I'm improving some road. I mean a road build no maintenance. That's a road build no last. Never by no not long spending any money. Ever do not spending any money. No potholes because by no potholes are up. I'm using this money. No get up in housing for you. I'm using some money. No work in school for you.
Lay MP and Deputy Prime Minister John Rosso said development can be seen in Lay because of good leadership and cooperation. He thanked the people of Lay for voting him back in and the local and provincial level leaders for standing with him to move the city forward. Rosso further applauded the Works Department and PNG Investment for their work ethics.
When you have good workers who work hard, some things have come up. When you have good contractors that work hard, some things have come up. On the first day that he got elected, emphasize him lomi plogada member blo morobe, but especially lomi mix one pla good pla belisi, that he will work very closely with the mogada member blo impla, and especially me, not only for the city for lay, but in my capacity as a deputy prime minister.
Both Governor Wenge and Rosso appealed to residents to take care of the new infrastructure and to stop spitting betel nut on the road, footpath and other infrastructure. Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
This is TV1 News. Stay tuned for more when we return.
With BSP Internet Banking, you can enjoy your banking at home, at work, or wherever you are. BSP Personal Internet Banking allows you to view your accounts and transactions, transfer money, bill pay, schedule future payments, or access your bank statements. Visit your nearest BSP branch to register now. BSP Internet Banking, the smarter way to bank. BSP, our bank, our people.
Open Lens. He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SP Lager. Bungum Yumi. Cheers to 70 years.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell Rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell Rice. Skell Life.
Unlock infinite possibilities with a back-to-school scholarship from Digicel. That's right, you could win one of 5 scholarships valued at 3,500 kina. Simply top up 5 kina or more, or buy a 4G LTE smartphone for your chance to win. So hurry, visit your Digicel store today and top up 5 kina or more, or buy a smartphone to win one of 5 3,500 kina back-to-school scholarships to secure your future. Only with Digicel, better together.
Challenge is about to get underway.
You all know what to do, man.
Roosevelt was the most interesting man in America.
He gave an 84-minute address, bleeding from a chest wound.
It's now or never. For the Spanish, he's a big target. Bullets nick off his boots.
Nobody who saw him take that ride expected that he would finish it alive.
He set the world's record for the number of hands shaken on a single day in the White House.
His irrepressible energy just won people over.
Here I am!
Theodore Roosevelt. Only on the History Channel.
Welcome back. The first potential rise investors from the Philippines arrived in Port Moresby today. The investor was invited by Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru to visit potential rise zones in the country.
Minister for International Trade and Investment, when announcing the arrival of the rice investors, said they will travel to Kairuku in Central Province to assess the land if it's fit for large commercial rice farming. The team was led by the Papua New Guinea ambassador to the Philippines, Betty Palazzo, and former Department of Agriculture Secretary of the Philippines, Emmanuel Pinol. Central Province has been identified by the government as a potential rice zone. They will visit Brown River and Gabadi in Kairuku district on Wednesday and Rigo on Thursday before returning to the Philippines.
The country needs 100,000 hectares of land to be planted with rice in order to produce enough rice for Papua New Guinea. We've been doing rice research for over 40 years. I have never gone into rice farming. Everyone keeps saying, oh, we can't grow rice. I say that's nonsense. We just have to find the investors who are able to bring the money and the expertise to help us grow rice.
Minister Maru also mentioned that PNG has been importing rice for the past 47 years. The government is adamant to put a stop to the import and start growing rice in the country. He clarified that the investors came with scientists who will be doing tests to the land to locate ideal locations to farm rice.
The Marabe Rosso government is keen on replacing imports, and this is the start of our journey in the year 2023. I call this the year of action. Time to talk and finish last year, you mean total policy now. What our intentions are. This year we want to get on with the work, and this means we must bring investors, both local and international, to start investing in significant agriculture projects, fisheries projects, forestry projects, climate change projects, to really start driving up investment in a very, very big way.
Meantime, Ms. Palazzo said the investors are committed to see it come to fruition.
It will be very useful for Papua New Guinea to also learn from what they're doing there so that it can assist us in setting up our own economic zones, which the minister is already working on. So,
Freddie Mo, TVWAN News.
Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru said the government is working on the trade agreement with Philippines and Indonesia to allow for trade between the countries.
We need to start having trade meetings. Once we start the trade meetings, agendas like trade agreement, air services, shipping services, that's what you discuss in the trade committee meeting. So that's very, very important for us to start having these discussions. Countries like Indonesia and Philippines, we need to do more trade with.
Meantime, Philippines' #1 rice farmer Danilo Bolos is part of the delegation of rice investors who are here in the country. Bolos holds a record harvest of 17 metric tons per hectare, which remains unequaled. His participation in this rice evaluation exercise is considered vital.
The rice investors team, led by the former Department of Agriculture Secretary of the Philippines, Dr. Emmanuel Pinol, was received at the airport by the Papua New Guinea ambassador to the Philippines, Betty Palazzo, and acting secretary for the Department of International Trade and Investment, Mrs. Jacinta Varakay Manua. Dr. Pinol, who opened a rice demonstration farm in PNG in 2017, said he invited Philippines' outstanding rice farmer, Danilo Bolos, to come to PNG to evaluate the viability of rice farming in the Central Province. Also on the team is Dr. Frisco Malabanan, former program director for rice farming in the Philippines and now the vice president of Saint Agitech, the leading Filipino company in hybrid rice seeds production. These experts, with other technical members, will visit Brown River and Gabadi in the Kairuku district this Wednesday. On Thursday, they will visit Rigo and return to the Philippines on Friday. Freddie Mo, TVWAN News.
During the launch for Airstrips Agency's database, Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation Walter Schnaubelt clarified the Cardiff 2 projects. Schnaubelt was happy to announce that under the recent ADB arrangement with particular airports, issues have been identified. He said the first airport is Gurney Airport for servicing, new terminal building and associated works. Second is Kiunga Airport for pavement strengthening and associated works. The third is Aropa Airport with focus on airport, pavement strengthening, new terminal building and associated works. The fourth is Wewak Airport for a runway extension, new terminal building and associated works. And fifth is the Oskins Airport for servicing and associated works. Last is the Port Moresby International Airport for power upgrade and air fuel lightening upgrade as well. Prime Minister James Marape has welcomed the passage of the landmark National Trade Bill 2023 by Parliament recently. The bill, unanimously passed by Parliament after much debate, was introduced by Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru.
The Marape Rosso government has been amending and passing new important laws in the country since 2019. The latest was the landmark National Trade Bill 2023. The Prime Minister admitted that lack of properly coordinated trade has seen smaller countries from the Pacific being able to export their taro, ginger and handicraft to Australia and New Zealand, while Papua New Guinea, which has over 80% of the population and landmass, cannot get our agriculture and fisheries products into Australia and New Zealand markets. The National Trade Office will provide leadership and policy advice on implementation of the National Trade Policy 2017 to 2032 and trading matters across all sectors of the economy.
Plenty countries in our neighborhood no got this arrangement want Papua New Guinea. Or you mean no got this arrangement want them all. So Trango, time online blue you me. Contract get broke. All no got ability law chase him like reclaim him, restitution. Law damage or suffering. So that's one area where me, law, strictly law, department law, this is like Minister of International Trade, Honorable Richard Maru, but Attorney General is that. Me like him, Attorney General too, law pay my attention to this issue. Now, almost look, law, all get a close neighbors blue me, starting from New Zealand, all get a Pacific Island countries, come to New Zealand, come to Australia, go to Indonesia, you go to Singapore, you go to Malaysia, you go to Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, China. You must make sure, because there's a huge volume of trade between us, you must make sure that there's a reciprocal enforcement of judgment system underpinned by treaties between all these countries and our countries.
Fred Moe, TVWAN News.
Meantime, member for Hiri Koyari Keith Ijuhu debated that the bill needed to be reviewed as many clauses needed fixing before the government can pass the bill. However, despite his debates, the government went ahead and passed the bill with 81 votes. Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation Walter Schnaubelt mentioned that his team are working an effort to work on pilot projects for ferries in the country. He said they're trying a pilot project for ferries to serve those ports as well, because Papua New Guinea has a lot of maritime provinces. He said air services can cater for one part of the community, but some segment of the communities will require ferries. His responsibility comes under his ministry as the Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation. TVWAN News continues after the break. Stay with us.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SP Lager. Bungum Yumi. Cheers to 70 years.
When you're spending time with family, when you've got a big day ahead, giving it all you've got. When you're putting on a feast, that's when you want the best. That's when you want flame rice. New flame rice. Win him, Olgeta.
What does it mean to be a man of honor? Having the courage to stand up for what is right. Being a voice for the vulnerable. The Man of Honor campaign aims to recognize ordinary men doing extraordinary things in their communities and helping to create opportunities to make the world a better place. Do you know a man of honor? Nominate him today. Visit the Digicel Foundation website and social media platforms for more information. Nominations close on February 3rd, 2023.
We're running out of leads.
That's where genetic genealogy comes in.
From that DNA sample, they were able to put together a composite of what the suspect may look like.
Authorities call her the first true female serial killer.
I started becoming fascinated with death.
The fantasies started getting more deviant.
I killed him as cold as ice. I kill again.
I was really aware of the evil I was capable of.
Welcome back. Over 60 villages from the Yvonne Gore ward in the Sinivit LLG of Pomio district have been financially empowered through a financial literacy training facilitated by the Kada Poroman Microfinance Limited. The 63 block owners in East Newriton residing off state lease land underwent the training in 3 batches and were given their certificates last Friday, January 20th. Ward member for Yvonne Gore and Vice Sinivit LLG President James Verwood said financial literacy is all about changing the mindset of people to improve their living standards. The ward member further said prices of goods and services are increasing, and thus such training is vital to help people to look after their money and use it well. Turning overseas, every year dozens of people have legitimate visa applications rejected because of incompetent migration agents. In one Sydney father who was being forced to leave the country has received a last-minute reprieve after the ABC revealed his plight.
Children, the threat of deportation is gone for now.
There was a lot of signs of relief. There was a lot of tears, but yes, we are so glad to be together.
On Friday, Mohammed Bagachun was a different man. He had 24 hours left in the country before his visa expired, after falling victim to a migration agent who failed to lodge his paperwork. Mohammed and his wife Jihan are profoundly deaf and haven't been able to speak to the Home Affairs Department. After the ABC published their story, Mohammed was finally able to plead his case.
We actually had a meeting through Zoom, and they allowed us to have an extension of the BVE visa for 3 months.
Often deaf people face a situation where their phone is ringing, they know it's the government,
but they've told the government on multiple occasions that a phone call isn't accessible for them.
Lawyers have also offered their help, arguing the strict deadlines in the legislation are unfair.
This applicant could have been in a coma, in hospital, and would have made no difference to the law. He could have had no capacity in any practical sense to file an appeal, and it would not have mattered, because the law simply does not care about the facts of the case.
While Mohammed can stay in Australia for now, his long-term future is still uncertain. The family is calling on the Immigration Minister Andrew Giles to intervene to prevent another lengthy legal battle. An intervention that would allow Mohammed to stay with his family for good.
We love you all. We really appreciate all your messages. A big, big thank you. We appreciate it.
A family sleeping a little easier.
Some health experts are calling for certain types of antibiotics to be reserved for children and the elderly as Australia grapples with supply constraints.
It is extreme. That's amid calls by the Australian Medical Association for a national plan for medications to be seen as a matter of urgency so we can get stockpiles and really shore up supply chains in advance so we're not left in this situation again. But really it's a dire situation.
How scarce are supplies?
Well, here where I'm coming from Newcastle, supplies are, it's at any one time we're seeing maybe sort of in pharmacies across the city only 1 or 2 bottles of liquid form amoxicillin for kids who have things like strep throat. So what they've done is been proactive. The pharmacists here, they've set up a WhatsApp group, and it's a case of allocating bottle by bottle to families as they come forward and say they need this drug for their children. And of course we know with antibiotics it's crucial knocking it on the head if there's an infection, knocking it on quickly, and that's why we've got a scenario like this where this WhatsApp group's enforced to try and match medications with families.
And how are families coping with the situation?
Not well. You can imagine a sick kid, and really the sense of urgency in treating something which is treatable. As the AMA said, amoxicillin's been around since World War II, and it's the go-to drug for things like whether it be strep throat or even a infected gardening injury, which left untreated, these things can be fatal. And indeed, at the moment, we're seeing this invasive strain of strep A, strep throat in children, and that's why time is of the essence. Families say that they've had to travel up to an hour to when some stocks are identified. They're travelling an hour to get that bottle of liquid gold, and of course we are seeing as well they're travelling to compounding chemists now who've been given the green light to fill the void given the precarious nature of this situation.
The Heart Foundation is on a mission for children to have healthier lunch boxes. It comes as the World Health Organization lists Australia as one of the countries with the highest proportions of developing heart disease from trans fats.
All those highly processed foods that can end up in our kids' lunch boxes, and this is really going to affect their performance in the classroom as well as on the sporting field. So number one, we want a frozen water bottle in that lunchbox. We want to make sure kids stay hydrated. Number two is pack a rainbow. So think of vibrant fruits and vegetables. So maybe it's an apple or a banana, something easy for the kids to eat, or even chopping up fruit. We know that kids are more likely to eat fruit when it's chopped up. And then vegetables. Think about, vibrant vegetables, cukes and little cherry tomatoes, carrot sticks. Have a bit of hummus or tzatziki in there to dip those veggie sticks in. And then a calcium-rich snack as well. So whole grain crackers with cheese, a tub of yogurt, or even a savoury muffin. We've got some delicious cheesy corn bites muffins on our website. The recipe is available. It's ready in 30 minutes, and it's a real lunchbox winner.
And back home, police in East New Britain province are appealing to relatives of the 6 recent escapees from the Kerawat Correctional Institution to help surrender these men to authorities. Acting Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector Gabriel Bundy made this appeal following a string of armed robberies that occurred within the past 2 weeks as the province welcomed the new year. Bandi said church elders too must assist to bring these men in so they can be brought back to Kerawat. He called on the leaders in the community to also talk to the parents and families of the named escapees to help them surrender and not have police come after them. The 6 escapees, or National Court remandees, are wanted mostly for armed robberies, with 1 for abduction. Coming up in the sports segment with Terry Longboot, the Hunters Old Boys make an impression on coach Paul Ayton at training, and security will be beefed up in the grand final match of the National Soccer League. And taking us to the break is the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Me just like to come and apologize again.
Me but not forgiving you. Even you apologize to me.
Me but working something right, Emma. You but got complete family again.
Why not you like Savastra? You plan lo talking, Emma.
Georgia.
Happy birthday.
Sydney and missing bikini bro Emma. You talk.
You all know what to do, man.
Roosevelt was the most interesting man in America.
He gave an 84-minute address, bleeding from a chest wound.
It's now or never.
For the Spanish, he's a big target. Bullets nick off his boots.
Nobody who saw him take that ride expected that he would finish it alive.
He set the world's record for the number of hands shaken on a single day in the White House.
His irrepressible energy just won people over.
Here I am!
Theodore Roosevelt. Only on the History Channel.
And the World Club Challenge is about to get underway.
Are you ready for football to get down to the nitty-gritty? Or whatever this is? Are you making plans for football? Flying for football? Flexing for football? And brushing up on your Spanish for football?
Tu defensa es basura. Eso.
Are you standing up, breaking down, and staying hyped for football? Good. Then you're ready.
And thanks for staying with us here on TV1 News. In sports, Trukai Industries have renewed its sponsorship in this year's 49th Irimwale Festival. Trukai will support the festival for the term of 2 years. Marketing manager Marianne Tom said Trukai, as the naming rights sponsor and the major sponsor for the Trukai Vanagi race. The race is part of the Irimwale Festival, which runs from the 3rd to the 5th of March.
The 49th Irimwale Festival, which includes a Vanagi canoe race, will be sponsored by Trukai Industries Limited for a term of 2 years. Marketing manager Marianne Tom said Trukai is the naming rights sponsor and the major sponsor for the Trukai Vanagi race. The race is a part of the Irimwale Festival, which runs from the 3rd to the 5th of March.
This year we're signing an agreement that's going to be for 2 years, so for this year and next year, which we know is the big one, the 50th anniversary of the Irimwale Festival. So we're really looking forward to working with the chairman and his good team. The last year's sponsorship was the first time for Trukai to come on board as a sponsor for Irimwale, and the event was a success, and to show our commitment and demonstrate our support for cultural events, which Trukai has always been a big supporter of for many, many years.
Chairman for Motu Koita Assembly and Deputy Governor for NCD, Dari Toka Jr., stated that the Assembly acknowledged Trukai Industries for renewing the partnership. The Vanagi canoe race takes place on March the 4th at Era Kone at Ella Beach.
This year, of course, we're looking at always trying to raise the standard, and that will be showcased very soon. We're not too far away from it, but in saying that, the prize money has been the major pulling factor for the Vanagi Heuhelulu. We've got 2 categories that have raced, and this is based on last year's the 2022 event. So we have the A grade Vanagis, and then we have the B grade Vanagis. So the winner of the A grade Vanagi went home with 10,000 kina. Plus, a few other merchandise, and the winner of the B grade Vanagi Heuhelulu went home with 5,000 kina.
The Vanagi canoe race has been kept in the festival to keep the skill of building such a vessel, which is slowly fading, and it's important to maintain that culture. The launch of the Vanagi race was today, and so far, about 3 B grade teams and 1 A grade team has shown interest and more to come. The fee to join the race is 50 kina, and registration will close on the 20th of February 2023. Jasmine Ero, TV1 News.
PNG Hunters assistant coach Paul Ayton has praised returning hunters for setting the pace for the new boys. Since training resumed after the Christmas break, momentum has picked up, while the attitude and the work ethics of the players has impressed the coaching staff.
Senior returning hunters have been commended for taking on some responsibility and leadership role in pushing and guiding the group around the training sessions. Players in the caliber of Ila'alu, Wartovo Pora Jr., Brendan Nima, Junior Rob, Benji Court and Epel Kapinias are doing a lot of talking and mentoring, which is really pushing the young players to get through their training sets. Assistant coach Paul Ayton has been quite impressed with the attitude of the old boys, imparting their experience and knowledge of the game to the new boys. Commenting on the progress of the new kids of the block, Ayton has been particularly blown away by the work ethics of Big Tommy Moide, who set some big personal sacrifices to make an impression in his first Q Cup season.
I think I spoke with Tommy. He said first time in his life that he's given up sugar for, I think, maybe 1 month or something. At one stage it was 1 week. First time in his life. So that shows the commitment that he has, that he's doing the right thing off the field. And you can see his body's changing and he wants this. And I think you want to coach players like that want to be here and want to do all these sort of things. So yeah, he's been a pleasure to coach so far. So.
Ayton has also made mention of ex-returning hunters apart from the regulars who are really embracing the young boys.
Oh, I think, again, hat off to the ex-hunters, the hunters that were here before. They're leading the way, both in talk and helping us coach the other boys. And then also for the new boys that have just come in, picking up everything. You got Tommy, he's giving up sugar, and first time ever. You got all the other Koso, you've got Joel. You can just see their bodies change up, so that means they're doing the right thing off the field. So I think hat off to all the boys for their efforts so far.
It was interesting to note that the preseason training program has added value and benefited a lot of the lighter backs, namely Morea Jr., Tapia Solu, Jamie Mavoko and Liam Joseph in beefing up.
There's a few of our boys that have been doing the same thing. I think Jamie as well. Jamie Mavoko is one of those. Liam as well. We just want them to put in a little bit more beef. And I think Morea's put on quite a few kilos already. You can see already how he looks. So Mong Taval, our head of performance, has changed their gym regime. So they're doing more weights to put on weight, not lose weight. Where Morea will be Tommy Moire doing something completely different. So he's trying to lose weight. So we've got it all individual. So it's very professional setup, and I think Mong Taval's doing a really good job.
Salome Vincent, TVWAN Sports.
Following last Saturday's unruly spectator behaviour at the end of the NSL semi-final match between Hekari FC and Gulf Kumara FC, security will be beefed up on Grand Final day to ensure the same incident is not repeated and the safety of players, families and fans is not compromised. When confirming the Grand Final date and venue at a special media conference on Monday, NSL competition manager Hamid Takwi and PNG FA President John Capinato announced that security is priority after last weekend's unfortunate incident. Takwi confirmed that the NSL Grand Final playoff between defending champions Lake City FC and Hekari United FC is now scheduled for next Saturday, 4th February at the Sir John Guy Stadium. The big showdown would go down as the country's greatest rivalry in the recent football history.
We'll ensure that we have a full force of law to protect the game. We don't want to bring law in and all that, but just because of what had happened, we need to call full security to be here in the Grand Final and also in the national playoffs. So we need to protect the game.
Season 3 of the Port Moresby Flag Football League is up and running with 6 teams competing for this year's title. Blue Tongue, one of the pioneer clubs from Badili, is sure to make an impression again this season after falling out of making the grand final over the past 2 years.
From its humble beginnings in 2020, Port Moresby Flag Football League promises to see a stronger competition this season from the pioneer clubs, especially the Badili teams, including defending champions Kavera Head, Matorogo Dragons and Blue Tongue. Blue Tongue captain Dylan Hebe said they decided to try out the game out of curiosity when the PNG AFF was using St. Therese Primary School field at Badili to introduce its program between 2019 and 2020. He said it was not that easy learning the rules, but they are starting to master the basics and are having a lot of fun.
We started back in 2019-20. First, President Timothy Jim came and introduced it to us. But first, it's difficult, but then after he teaches us the rules and all things like that, we get evolving and we improve. And now we are playing the 3rd season. The last 2 seasons, the first season we came runner-up, but unfortunately we didn't make it to win the comp.
Dylan said despite the slow start to their campaign this season, he is quietly confident they can make the finals again, but with a better outcome this time around.
First game we lost, so I thought we have to make it up for our loss and just go, put some big margin in. We want to make it to the grand final and semi-final again. We don't want to knock out in the middle of the round or something like that, yeah.
Dylan is encouraging young boys and girls to try out the new sport. He said this fun and entertaining non-contact sport is safe to play.
We have a lot of young talent in this country, and we all are not meant to play one sport. There's different types of sports. Some can play, and maybe this is the type of sports that some youths and PNG young kids are their gateway to go to the next stage.
Flag football is a modified version of the American gridiron that has been in the country since 2020, with plans to establish its programs in Morobe and Simbu soon. Salome Vincent, TVWAN Sports.
And that ends the sports segment. Over to you, Jemima.
Thanks, Terry. Before we go, remember to apply the following simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information. our assistance. Thanks for your company. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Experience a convenient and smarter way to do your banking.